So this video you're about to watch here is with a legend, in my opinion. His name's Andre Grosman. He is one of the OG photographers for High Times. But I really wanted to say, people like Andre, they laid the foundation for people like myself to do what we do today. So I want to say thank you to the OGs like him. And I'm really excited for you guys to see this interview. We talk about all different types of things, but his career being in New York during the 80s and 90s, he got to see a lot of rich culture with this plant. We talk about Ed Rosenthal, the Pope of Pot, a bunch of other crazy stories. So definitely make sure you guys watch this all the way through. I think you're gonna find it pretty interesting. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. Appreciate y'all for watching.
Dude, this guy's father was working for the damn government developing orientation systems for cruise missiles.
Wow.
So the son is this total derelict pothead guy. He handcuffed me and made me lie down on the couch in the living room there and sprayed like a whole bottle of lighter fluid all over me.
God.
My name is Andre Grosman. I'm a photographer, and my claim to fame is that I specialized in photographing pot, and in 1995 I scored the cover of the New York Times Sunday magazine with my cover. The grower of the amazing plant with purple pistils was Kyle Kushman, my good friend, who after this photo shoot at his grow in the Catskills in upstate New York, he became the pot editor of High Times magazine then for 10 years or something. But pot photos are not all I do and did. I did photography in New York City, employed in a art company for like 35 years. But I always had my own pursuit of photography. I like photographing people. So at age 26, I moved to the US and I learned about smoking flower. Maybe in my mid-20s, I had an opportunity to go to the work for a photographer in New York. And in the early 80s, I liked to go and look at the graffiti people and the hip hop and the breakdancing, try to take pictures, without getting too much on people's nerves and stuff.
So let's start. So when did you start working at High Times?
Maybe around 85, I might have had my first photo in there or something. And then the Cannabis Cup started at like in 87, 88 on or something. And I think I was in Amsterdam, not in the very first Cannabis Cup, but the second one. And it was probably interesting insofar as I and one of the staff writers from the magazine went to Amsterdam. And that was it. We pulled off the second Cannabis Cup just as the writer and the photographer of the magazine and stuff.
Before we move on with the content, I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Smoke for supporting this content right here. So if you guys go to drsmoke.com, use my discount code LMC, you're gonna get 15% off your entire order. And I highly recommend, you go to Dr. Smoke, order some stuff. They've got high quality stuff. They've got drinks. They've got all different types of goodies, big brands, right? All different types of brands, 3Chi, all different types of stuff. They've got all different types of candy, right? All super high quality, all tested, all good to go, all legal, delivered to your door. So go to drsmoke.com, use discount code LMC at checkout, get 50% off your order. And also, this is gonna help, support this content here. So if you wanna support the show, go try it out. Go to drsmoke.com, use my discount code LMC, and get 50% off your order. Now, let's jump back into the content.
Let's talk about with your time at High Times, right? So do you have multiple? Do you have the cover ever, or do you have the cover? Or
at some point, I had like dozens and dozens of covers.
Yeah, that's what I felt like.
Of the High Times magazine, and I never exactly really counted it something, but somebody who did count say it's close to 100.
Wow!
But I can't super confirm, but it was a bunch of them, but good time.
Absolutely. So tell me like some of the, if you did 100 covers, that means you did tons of different photo shoots, right? What are some of the craziest ones, like just in terms of like stories that stick out to you with like the?
There was a guy in town who was like very private dealer, pot dealer, and he had the biggest collection of different kinds of pot ever known. He
Really?
had like as a dealer, every pound he ever dealt, he kept like an ounce to the side as to have a preserve example for the future. So he came to my photo studio for a photo shoot with 3 huge like band equipment cases on rolls into the studio, and there were probably like 200 or 300 little ounce jars that we then, it took like 2 hours to arrange the ounce jars, and we that made eventually like was for a centerfold of the magazine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go. We're gonna come back to. I want to talk about. We're gonna go into the photo like section of this interview. All right. So let's start with this. What is this photo?
Oh, that's Rob Van Dam.
Okay.
It's a world wrestling type of star.
Yeah.
And
who are the people behind it? Are those other wrestlers?
Those were his partners at work. They're hilarious. What a scene. Like, interesting question, because John Holmstrom was another of the important editors at the High Times magazine. He had connections to this wrestling scene, and he knew that Rob Van Dam, who was one of those top guys in that scene, was a pothead. And he also, Rob Van Dam, was willing to be potentially on the cover of High Times magazine. We go visit him, take pictures and stuff, and that was like an awesome experience to
was it, so this was like WWE or what?
Yeah.
So were they okay with weed at that time?
Yeah,
WWE?
well, like, it was controversial, but everybody,
they probably moved into the storyline, right, of WWE.
The big thing back then, I think, was there were so many really bad drugs in that scene, you know, with all the shit they take for the muscles and stuff.
Steroids, yeah.
That pot was like sort of not that much of a problem. People say, hey, it's pot, it's not that big a deal.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So describe, so this is so dope. This is a photo of young B Real and Chef Ra, right?
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
So tell us what this photo is and like where this is and the backstory of it.
I think there was like a photo shoot with the Be Real guys, and then Chef Ra.
Cypress Hill, yeah.
Yeah, and Chef Ra, and then afterwards everybody went to like a club, and I was there with my camera and snapped that picture of those two guys
100%.
like that. Do you know who Chef Ra is?
I don't. So I was just about to ask you. So I see all these pictures of Chef Ra, right? I see him in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So let's go to that. Yeah.
The editor of High Times, Steve Hager, is from Illinois and from Champaign. Went to university there, and there was a local DJ type of guy who was running the local student radio station, and that was that black guy, Chef Ra, and he was amazing. And because his buddy Steve Hager was the chef of High Times magazine, he brought Chef Ra.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me like your experience in Jamaica. So like, this is a really amazing picture, I see.
Oh yeah, that was like the security.
Yeah, he's got a gun in his pocket. He's smoking a cigarette.
Resort or something. Yeah. To go to Jamaica, what an experience! I mean, like, you know, we went several times. I tell you about this one time. We go to Jamaica when we're just there for like 2-3 days or something, and Hurricane Gilbert hits Jamaica, and that fucking hut type of hotel where we stayed, half the roof flew off during the hurricane. Oh my God, Jamaica, crazy story. The thing we visited, the pot fields were hidden in the mountains in these coral reef woods, rainforest type of thing. what else do I remember? The Rasta high rise hidden in the mountain woods. Like there was all of a sudden we could hike for at least an hour, and there's the Rasta high rise, some kind of coral reef structure that was like 3 stories high. But the pot growers guys, they live in this place and show off their buds in there. I got like a real nice photos of them showing off their buds and stuff. Everybody has a tooth missing and stuff. Showing off their buds is really great.
Absolutely. Okay, let's jump into this. You were talking about this a little bit earlier. So I saw when I go through your Instagram a bunch of pictures of HashBash, right? And I pulled up. So let's start like how you have all these pictures of like you were with the original founders of HashBash, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a time the HashBash was going on. The editor at High Times says we, as the High Times guys, need to go to the HashBash in Ann Arbor to support and show our presence and stuff. And we're gonna go and buy an old school bus and paint it and have some of the cool graffiti guys in the city paint it for us. And then we're just gonna go drive to Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Paint it like this, right? You got the right there's another picture.
Yeah, like that's the guys painting it. And then before we actually depart to go to Ann Arbor, we do a tour of like the Lower East Side, pass by all the bars at around like 6 in the afternoon. We announce it. So like, who wants to come to go to the HashBash in Ann Arbor? And like in 3, 4, 5 bars, 2 people each bar came out and went with us. We were like 20 people stuck in this bus that had like holes in the floor and stuff. And it was like a winter. There was like a snowstorm. We're driving this snowstorm with this like crazy old bus.
How was it when you were there? Was it cold, you said?
Yeah, it was like a winter storm and stuff, but we made it. And it was like, pretty amazing. This trip was exhausting. Oh my God, but for good photos.
Great photos. I have a lot. Yeah, there's a lot on your Instagram.
That bus made some good photos.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. You got this amazing photo from, sorry to keep going back and forth and things, but you got this picture, you got a bunch of pictures of Jack Herrera.
Jack Herrera.
Talk to me about him and the interactions you had with him.
That's a good question too.
Yeah.
Like, he was quite an enigmatic character. Oh my God, what a sort of charisma this guy had. I met him first at a party in New York City that the guy from the editor from High Times magazine throws a party for him. And then Jack Herrera is introduced. He was in really great shape at that time. He had a big full beard and maybe in his mid 50s or something. And he was really into reciting about his take on the Bible. And a very nice, friendly, very full of love kind of guy. He always had a huge family of potheads around him and stuff. And it was great. They were from California. They were like typical California guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff like super, you know.
Yeah. So tell me what's going on in this picture. It says free joints.
This is sort of like after a music gig in Lower East Side in Manhattan, and the editor of High Times, Steve Hager, at that time, he had a band called the Soul Assassins, and the Soul Assassins, his band with 3 soul assassinette girls for singers up front, they just finished a gig and he was distributing the free joints for everybody. Had like maybe a couple dozen joints pre-rolled and threw them into the audience after the show. That was
awesome.
Thing.
I love that. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to this picture now. So you got Shefra, Ed Rosenthal, and then.
Oh yeah.
So describe the picture. Yeah.
There was like people traveling to a pot rally in Washington D.C. traveling from
what year?
New York, like let's say 89 or something. It was just could be 86 too or something. I don't remember, but it's Ed Rosenthal and a bunch of the New York guys piling into a van in New York City to drive.
And that's
girls
yeah,
stuff.
and that's Ed Rosenthal with his son or something.
Yeah, it's his son. Yeah,
It
true.
looks young, man.
Little
Got a
little guy,
mustache.
5 years old or something. Yeah.
He had a mustache, crazy. Okay, this one's interesting. So this is the year I was born, 1996. Blizzard in New York City.
Oh yeah, that's
a crazy picture. Wow.
That one time I lived downtown in the financial district, so I wasn't that far away, but everything got really blown in this blizzard with like up to 6 feet, kind of next to these cars. Everything was gone. That was an interesting day. Never happened again like that.
Never happened again like that, huh?
In that time. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And I was like always move around on a bicycle. It was like fun.
Tell me, okay, this picture's crazy. So you got, let me see this picture. This picture is fascinating. Paradise.
Oh, yeah. That's like kind of in the early.
That's in Bronx.
In the early time when I was.
Crazy picture. That's a really amazing picture.
My first, probably the first or second year in New York, where I lived in Manhattan, had a shitty little living room that I rented or something. But it was like close to the Bronx. I lived in Washington Heights. Now, at that time, the South Bronx was still kind of dicey and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There were all these burned out buildings with like goofy people.
Well, just piles of rubble. You just see piles of like rubble, right? Like
people rummaging around in it and stuff. Yeah.
You see pictures.
And I go, meet this kid that was like, he was kind of exercising dance moves in the street, and he has a bit of an outfit on or something, you know, naked upper body. He had painted this little thing
called Paradise.
Right.
What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I think,
if you had to guess.
Well, I think it's supposed to mean paradise. That he is in the broken down South Bronx as a background, you know. Everybody knows that the South Bronx kind of sucks and stuff.
I love this picture. This picture is so.
It's really nice.
Really amazing. Man. So this photo really stuck out to me. So it's just this guy. He's sitting in this really fancy house, and it says Pope of Pot, Mickey.
Yeah, that's really funny. Also,
so who is that?
Also, again.
So break that down, because this photo is pretty crazy.
Good question now. So one of these Lower East Side characters there was a guy called the Pope of Pot. You always hear about it. I don't know who, but eventually I kind of met the guy, and this character, the Pope of Pot, he had a pot delivery service.
So this is the 90s, 80s?
In the 80s, yeah.
So he's really early on.
He was like so out there, but he had this whole crew of bike riders, bicycle messengers, and they would deliver pot in Manhattan. Like they had 4 lines into this apartment and stuff. And he got busted and this and that and stuff. However, he came from a wealthy family from New Jersey, and he was still living in this house where he had grown up with it. Dude, this guy's father was working for the damn government developing orientation systems for cruise missiles.
Wow.
So the son is this total derelict pothead guy who has a pot delivery system and is like the total
deviant,
crazy deviant and stuff, but is happily living in New York.
Is he good now? That's crazy. So what, the Pope of Pot, he never got busted?
Well, he did all kinds of busted terrible or something. He eventually died from AIDS, I think.
Oh.
But he also, you know, these guys made a lot of money at some point, and he was always helping everybody and stuff. Real kind of social awareness, like a good guy. He would have some money, but this guy had like a broken leg or something. He would help the guy get his damn leg fixed and stuff.
Wow. So where's that?
That's the Pope of Pot also.
That's also him, right?
The older guy on the
left.
On the left side. And he was kind of like a little bit like socially involved with the community and the neighborhood. So on I think like on Halloween or something, they were always fighting with the cops in New York.
He's got
So
a
he
dead
would
pig.
like
Yeah.
have a roast pig and put
Oh
the
my
police
God.
helmet on it, and put it, what does it, have a joint in the mouth, like
Yeah.
a cigar or something.
Yeah, that's
And then
crazy.
they would parade it through the Lower East Side in front
Oh
of the
my
cops and
God.
stuff,
That's crazy.
And I liked these guys. They were really funny. They were like pot rebels of sort.
Yeah, that sounds like it, dude. That sounds like it. I got 2 more questions about pictures, and then we'll go into the wrapping. And tell me, who's this? Her
Yeah, that's like another
famous like
figure from the Lower East Side, from downtown. Herbert Hanke. He's like an old beat poet type of guy.
Yeah.
He was like a poet, so he make the crazy poets, but he's also like a heroin addict and a cocaine addict.
Oh yeah, he looks a little rough. He looks a little.
And they live in the Chelsea Hotel, where all the crazy artists and stuff would live in New York. Made for good photos.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, last one. Tell me this picture right here.
This is out of the hip hop graffiti type scene. The character in the middle, a black guy, that's phase 2. But he was one of those early guys in New York who made this graffiti stuff well known.
Wow. Who's the white guy next to him?
Excuse me?
Who's the white guy next to him?
The white guy, that's actually Steve Hager, who became later the editor of High Times.
Yeah, I recognize his face for some reason.
He has been like for about a dozen years or something, been the editor of High Times magazine, and had put High Times basically through its best period.
So that's a good transition into this. So like, what's your thoughts on the progression of High Times in general? Like, you said those.
I don't want to say too much about it because I don't know so much about it and stuff,
Yeah.
And I think to make judgments about this, you really should be one that knows
it all, exactly.
Like a lot of the details.
Yeah.
And stuff, what counts is that High Times, during the dark years of pot prohibition, were a voice.
Speaking of
for many people. For many people, not you and me or something, but for many people it meant like a lot and stuff,
I think it's important to make it clear that, for people like yourself, like, you created the pathway for me to even be able to do what I'm doing. So specifically me too, because of, I got a camera, you know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you, and that, you should get your flowers, because you are really important, right? From everyone that is in media in the cannabis space, people like yourself, especially people like yourself, we really do owe.
I have one more good story for you.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I always thought, like, in this environment with the soft drugs, with marijuana, that everything was, for the longest time, really good, smooth sailing, until I kind of got a bit also into making a living with growing pot in New York and selling my product myself, and never having had a problem ever and stuff. I threw a big party in New York in 1995 and told all my friends, hey, we're going to have open house and stuff. There were like 150 people there. I know maybe 30 of them or something. And there was like one character who I met at the party, introduced himself. You come to, this was my party, he introduced himself and stuff. And he was like some goofy sort of like a bodybuilding type or something, pretty young white guy. And he was saying, hey, if you want to take some pictures of a good bodybuilding model. And I was kind of just sort of say like, oh, why don't you just bring your girlfriend or something? And dude, about a year after this party, I get a phone call from that guy. I remember the guy's name and stuff. And he says, hey, remember me, da-da-da, and stuff. And I was like, yeah, what's up? What do you want? And he says, oh, you know what? I was like, wanted to offer you an investment opportunity. And I said, what do you mean investment opportunity? Well, in the meantime, like, it's been a while, we're moving trucks in and out of Mexico or something, you know. So, like, I'm looking for some, you know, can you put up some cash or something, you know, you'll double your income or something.
Mhm.
And I was saying, like, dude, you have no fucking idea who I am, who I'm talking to. Like, I maybe have like $100 to my name in my pocket here or something, but that's it. Because the guy was like saying, like, yeah, maybe put $20,000 or something, you know. Now another year, so I blow him off on the phone. Another year goes by, same guy calls and he says, oh, hey, me and my buddies were like in the new Soho Grand Hotel that just got opened and stuff, and we don't have any pot and stuff, you know. Can you help us? And I was at that time selling quarters and go be happy to sell the guy, and I go home with $200 or something, you know. They paid me, they bought the pot and stuff, they bought like whatever amounts of weed or something. The guy calls again, he says like a week later he wants some pot. And I said like, okay, we can meet here and there, and this happened like 3-4 times. So he became sort of like one of my customers in a way or something. He had the cash, it was quick. And this one time he calls, and I was just on my way out to a photo shoot, you know, I'm like packing my bags in my apartment and stuff. And the guy calls and say like, hey, can you help me out? And I said like, you call right now, I have like 0 time and stuff, but I still, you know, want to get the money and stuff. He's like, listen, where are you? Oh yeah, you're like in my neighborhood. Why don't you come up into my apartment? He comes up. I live on the 2nd floor of this pizzeria in the financial district. He comes into the door, I let him in, and he wraps his arm around my neck and puts a gun to my head and says, dude, it's all different right now. You give me all the money and all the drugs in the house, and if you don't like this idea, he handcuffed me and made me lie down on the couch in the living room there and sprayed like a whole bottle of lighter fluid all over
my
me.
God.
And then he's standing there with his fucking lighter saying, so where is the drugs and the money? And I'll burn down the whole building. I don't give a fucking shit. And I believed the guy. Oh my God, what an asshole. And so I gave up. I had like $5,000 in cash and about a pound of fresh Court strawberry cough, and handed it over, and a fancy duffel bag that I had. And the guy, oh yeah, and I had like 4x4 feet grow bed full of like probably another pound of big fat strawberry cough buds. He took that too. He cut it down and stuff. So he totally ripped me off, probably like to tune up 10-20 grand or whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
that's like like old school mob shit. That's like old school like English mob.
Yeah, I was like totally whimpering.
I mean, I would be too. I'd be shitting my pants. I'd be shitting my pants. Okay.
And okay, so there's like a little additional thing to it. So the guy had handcuffed me, and he left. And when he left through the door, he said, dude, at least leave the damn key for this handcuffs here. So he put the key for the handcuff, put it all the way on top of the shelves where I couldn't reach it and stuff.
So you had to wait.
And as he left, I dialed. We had the old dial phone. I dialed. It was 5:30 in the afternoon. So like, my friend Kyle Kushman, the grow editor at High Times magazine, is still at work. And I said, Adam, you have to do only one thing now. No questions, just do what I say. Come to my house as fast as you fucking can. And he said, okay. He hung up and came in 20 minutes later. He was there, and then I let him into my apartment. He unlocked my damn handcuffs off of me.
Well, hey, thank you so much. I hope we can do some more interviews here in the future.
Well, thank you.
But I wanted to say thank you again. I'll shake your hand because you really do, like, you know, set the you know, you laid the pathway down for people like myself. So, you know, really so thankful for, you know, for what you contributed, and I want to give you your flowers. You know?
You know, some of the guys, when you look around, even on Instagram or something, you know, where the photography of pot, especially this macro stuff, has gotten so good, you know. People really spend a lot of energy
I know some of those people,
effort
yeah.
on this.
Like Surface 99.
And it looks great.
It looks great.
And it's like...
Started with you, dude. Let's remember that. Started with you.